So the court reversed the lower court's decision and held that the express requirement in the contract between the prime contractor joint venture was not an additional insured under the prime contractor's policy. So according to the court, the language is clearly requires that the named insured execute a contract with a party seeking coverage as an additional insured. So since the prime contractor didn't enter into that written contract, so the requirement is in the prime contract is to procure naming the joint venture as an additional insured. That was insufficient to afford the joint venture coverage as an additional insured under the CGL policy. In reaching the conclusion, so the court recognized the decision, so they interpreted the language of a similar blanket insured endorsement, which they held, the language required a direct contract between the named insured and the additional insured. So the court focused on the phrase "with whom" and found it was being used as an object in the phrase "you have agreed." So "with whom" referred back to the person mentioned previously. And so the court said that a direct contractual relationship was required between the named insured and the entity seeking coverage. So according to the court, any other interpretation would distort the plain language of the endorsement and would extend coverage not only to those with whom the prime contractor agreed, but also for whom the prime contractor agreed to provide coverage. So next, the joint venture would attempted to rely on the language of the prime contract to support its position, qualified it as an additional insured. So the court rejected that argument. So the language, the agreement in the sample certificate may be evidence that they were going to provide them with coverage, but all that means is that the joint venture may have a claim against the prime contractor for breach of the contract's insurance provision. It doesn't mean that the policy can be judiciously written to cover that joint venture.